Chief, start.
Yeah, I think we can pledge of allegiance if anytime.
Okay.
It's 7 o'clock.
Here we go with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Flag.
of the United States of America,
America.
And
to the republic
Republic.
for which it stands,
Stands.
one
One
nation,
nation.
under God,
God,
indivisible,
Indivisible.
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everyone for coming. Bill and I will kind of tag team this opening remarks sort of a thing, and then we'll get right into the meat and potatoes. I'll speak just briefly about some of the reasoning behind the stormwater board and stormwater fee. As most of us are aware, some may not be in the crowd, but with tax caps and circuit breakers, the town has limited ability to get additional revenue in, and tax monies are basically frozen for us. And in fact, because of the circuit breakers and some of the property tax issues, sometimes our revenues, rather than going up, go down over the year. So essentially, this is the only way to get revenue in, which is what we call a user fee. We did some homework and found out that we can indeed form a stormwater board. It's similar in some respects to the water board. And in this case, it's formed to handle some stormwater issues. Bill, did you want to discuss a little bit about the town's overall finances?
Yes. We all hate to dig into our pockets, but we are in a very healthy situation. But last year, we overspent our income by $120,000. And we did a lot of good things. We did $1 million worth of paving. We finished the Stop 24 project. We spent $93,000 to shore up stops 21 and 23 in the spring. We still have more work to be done in that regard. But to bring ourselves to a situation, we have equipment that would be helpful to and really necessary to clean out our new stormwater drains that we have installed. Some of you have seen them they now have concrete around the drains because of the size of the drains. And we also have to plan on remediation of the some of the stops, because we want to make sure that we're not just pouring stormwater into the lake. So there are lots of areas that we could spend that. So and the utility fee is the best way to accomplish that. Putting it as part of the taxes is a very cumbersome process and would require us to wait another year. So the plan would be to, if approved, to begin to charge $15 additional on the water bill. So in any event.
So essentially, I've always, been told by adult educators, it's always good to explain to people why you're doing what you're doing or why they need to learn what they're learning. So as Bill said, there's an environmental aspect to it. We have not been able, Tom Dolph has done a fantastic job with the street department over the years, as did his predecessors. But basically, it's a whack-a-mole game because you're limited on your funds. There are many things we'd like to do. We have some public pipes that go through private property down to the lake. Some of our pipes that are at the stops are not adequate in terms of how they're engineered and what they accomplish. And as Bill said, the street water, basically, there are very inexpensive, I should say inexpensive, but they cost some money, ways to put structures in that can swirl the water and keep the bad stuff from getting into the lake. So there are lots of things that we could do in terms of environmental issues in the future. Again, as Bill mentioned, the drainage structures, we've got dry wells all over town. Some of them are very old. We've been fortunate with the community grant monies that in the last 2 years to put in some brand new structures, but they all need to be cleaned on a regular basis. It's very difficult to do that manually. There is the option of hiring an outside contractor, but we now have so many brand new ones, we really want to stay up with it on a scheduled basis. The one other benefit that we get if we do with this fund, we're able to purchase this hydro excavator specifically for cleaning out the structures. That's about an $80,000 to $90,000 piece of equipment. And that will also help in terms of emergency excavation when the water department gets in trouble. If anybody's in the business, they understand you have to call locates in and wait till the locates are there, and you have to very gingerly excavate around those areas. With this hydro excavator, you're able to go in there and it basically a giant vacuum. You spit water down and pick up all the material, so it really helps on excavation as well. So there are a couple of different reasons that'll help us on our emergency work whenever something happens in terms of water leaks or those sorts of things. And then if anybody drives around town, you'll see with the new paving work that the drainage structures are helping immensely, but there's still very, very many poor drained areas where you're riding through puddles when it rains, and those are safety issues as well. And again, we've been doing whack-a-mole over the years, and if we can accumulate some funds, we'll be able to do a more thoughtful approach to that and keep on top of it. Just the fee, that fee can be adjusted anytime annually at a minimum. What we thought we'd do is come out swinging. We know we've got a couple of situations that involve significant six-figure expenditures. One in particular at 17. I know Mr. Risby's on now, and he's somewhat aware of what we're trying to accomplish down there, and those dollars are significant into multiple six figures if we're going to do that properly. And then again, this piece of equipment we're talking about. So again, we can decrease that fee, we can increase it, we can do whatever we want. We thought we'd start off with that $15 nominal fee and see where we wind up. If you multiply that out times the roughly 1,100 households, $15 a month, you're talking a little less than $200,000 annually. So we've got a home for those funds this year and next. And again, we can adjust that fee as time goes on. The Stormwater Board will consist of the town council. We will not appoint a separate board. We're allowed to do that, so the town council will control this directly. There are many other communities in our Northwest Indiana marketplace where they have this same sort of a thing. They range from large cities to small towns. I think it's a very effective way to earmark some funds for some very important work. And again, just to cap it, environmentally, it's a good idea, and it'll help us all in terms of safety issues with the puddles and some of the other things we experience around town. That's about all I've got to say, Bill, unless you've got something else.
I think I'd like to entertain a motion to begin the stormwater utility public hearing. Would somebody do that? Okay, there's Mary Lou making a motion to.
I second it.
Oh, well, I can't make a motion, so.
Oh, I make a motion.
You're making the motion. Is there a second? Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mary Lou, seconded by John Coker. So the hearing is formally opened. Bill suggested that we start.
I think what we've normally done when I've seen the LGF, the Department of Local Government Finance, do it, do we have anyone who wants to speak in opposition to the formation of the stormwater utility?
If you can either unmute yourself and speak, if you'd like to speak in opposition, or do some sort of a reaction on your Zoom tab there so we can see. I don't see anybody making that move right now, but we'll give you a minute or two to do that. If you can, there's a reaction. You can raise your hand on the reaction, or you can just unmute yourself and begin to speak.
And John, remind them they need to say their name and address.
Thanks, Mary Lou.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And I want to clarify, Bill, because we have two ordinances that we're considering this public hearing, we are establishing that public utility. We're trying to double dip here, right? Establishing that fee. This public hearing is for consideration of that fee. Just want to make sure
of both the formation and the yeah. Okay. So yeah.
So we'll. I don't see anyone raising their hand or unmuting and speaking. We'll give them about another minute and then.
Okay, and then we can close that portion and then ask her. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
Okay, can we have a motion to close that portion of the meeting?
I move we close the meeting.
To close the
portion.
And okay.
And Coker.
1 ML2.
And ML2.
Okay. And do we have anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the stormwater utility, both the formation of the utility here at the utility board and the $15 a month fee. I will raise my hand and say, I think it's a fabulous idea. And by the way, as an aside, what we didn't offer is it typically costs about $3,000 to $4,000 a day to hire one of those puppies that takes water out of the drains. And we have to wait for the guy who's got the big machine to put us on the schedule.
Thanks, Bill. I mean, people need to know that.
Yeah,
That's a great.
What's the life on one of those machines? 15, 20 years if it's maintained properly?
Oh, I would say, John, yeah, it won't get tremendous abuse. I mean, what they'll do with these multiple hundreds of structures we have, or whatever they are in total, he'll just put it on a schedule and clean them regularly, most likely starting with the new ones, because many of the new ones have been in for a couple of years. As you know, anytime we salt and sand and, things blow around it, they just accumulate in those structures.
And then we have to clean them out, John, is that?
Yeah, Marion, what they've actually, on the new ones, and Tom's tried to retrofit some of the old ones, there is actually if you've ever been through a construction site, remember, Mary Lou, you were talking about the noodles the other night on the Stop 24 project?
Yeah.
There are special manufactured rim pieces that keep the sediment out of those structures, but they also get clogged and overflow into the structure. So there's no magic bullet. You always still have to clean them out.
Okay.
I see Mr. Risby would like to speak. So go ahead, Mr. Risby.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a great idea. We should do this. It's not only help the town, but it will help environmentally, because as you mentioned, that we are discharging the water which is not treated to the lake. I think that's a great idea. My only suggestion will be, I think while we're looking at all these increasing different rates on different things, same time we have to be looking at it where we can cut down the expenses. Because all of you probably, and most of us here sitting there, probably can afford to pay these $15, $20, or $30, or maybe more per month. But there is some probably citizens who cannot afford to pay $15, $20, $30. And as you know from our previous experience, which I listened, some of them not even able to pay their water bill due to whatever reason is. So I think if we looking at to increase rates on some side, we maybe need to look at it, how we can decrease rate on other side. One example, I think I will say that I don't know it's possible or not, trash. In 9 months of the year, probably, we don't need to collect the trash every week. And we can collect the trash when we are busy months, and then even if not 9, maybe 7 or 8 months of the year, we can collect trash every other week, just like we collect with others. So that way, some of these expenses may be able to reduce, because if frequency of the trash collection or other things is reduced, that may result in reduce on those charges, and it can help the other community members. That's the only suggestion I have.
John, could you ask his address, please?
Yeah, it's a 1636 Lakeshore Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Mary Lou.
That's all right. I don't want people to think I favor you.
No, I will not ask. I'm just trying to help that, because I know, because in our town in there, the food bank, the lines are building up. I'm glad maybe it's not happening in Long Beach, but I'm just looking at the side. We are fortunate, but there is other people who are not fortunate enough to spend that kind of money. How do we make sure that we don't add every time? We need to find how do we subtract something also.
John, that's not a bad suggestion. I mean, I know there's 2 of you at your if it might be a thing to look at for trash collection. Just a thought.
Yeah.
During 9 months out of the year, I'm sure you and your wife don't have that much, and maybe that would be a cost savings. We could look into something like that.
If you could just keep the boomerang kids from coming back, Mary Lou, I'd be in good
No
shape.
kidding. Yeah. Yeah. But no, you know what I think about, I just remembered I'm on Michigan City. So it doesn't matter. They come out whenever. So
No, I think that's a good call, and there are other things as well. I think
it's a thought. I mean, it's just, let's think outside the box.
right. We've been faced with quite a bit coming at us this year in terms of some of the things we've had to work on, the shore protection and the police chief and some of the other things we're working on. But Mr. Rizvi's point is well taken.
Yeah, and it's a way to think about things. Maybe we can think of things different, because I think at the holidays there's a lot more trash, and then then it's not so much.
I think we look at the big ticket items on the budget finance and see if there's anything we think we can work on. I think that's the way to look at it. I haven't seen any new participants, and I haven't seen anyone else raise their hand yet. We'll give them another opportunity, I guess, to speak in favor, right, Bill?
Yeah. Well, and
we've only got 12 of us, and I'm looking at the whole screen, so I don't think I'm missing anybody, and I don't see any hands raised, and I don't see anybody unmuting.
Okay. Well, then I would suggest, could I have a motion to close the hearing then?
I make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right.
Do we vote on that, Bill?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of closing the hearing?
All right.
Aye.
Forgot about that part, sorry. But you're in charge of that, Chuck.
That's okay.
Okay, next.
We'll keep him honest, right, Chris?
Next, the next thing on the agenda is the second reading of ordinance 2006, an ordinance of Town of Long Beach establishing a stormwater management department, a stormwater user fee, and stormwater operation and maintenance fund for the town of Long Beach, Indiana. Do you have a motion to approve that on second reading?
Well, and I would suggest that you have a motion to suspend rules and do it by title only, so that you don't have, and do the same with the next, if you're inclined to pass first, and then move forward.
All right.
Motion. I have a question, John.
Why don't we get a second?
Oh, okay.
Second. And can we have a vote first on that before you have a question? Yeah. Oh,
John, Coker, did you second it?
Well, is the motion to consider the ordinance in a abbreviated form by just title?
Yes.
Is that what Chris is suggesting?
Yes.
yeah.
That is the motion. I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay. Is there a vote on that?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So before we get started, I had a question from somebody when I was out walking tonight. How long is this ordinance? Is it 5 years? Is it 3 years? Is it?
Until it's repealed, right?
Until it's repealed.
It's on the books.
Okay.
Again, Mary Lou, we can reduce and or stop the fee at any time. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think it was forever, but I just wanted to make sure.
So now we've approved approaching it as reading it by title only.
So I read the title, so I don't know, I won't read it again. Is there a motion, and maybe we started with the motion, to approve the ordinance on second reading?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance on second reading.
Okay, we have a second.
Waiting for John Wall to raise his hand.
Oh, I'll second it. I didn't.
Step up. Okay,
Now step up to the plate, John.
have a vote then.
All
All
right.
in favor?
Aye, okay. 3-0. All right. And now we are moving on to ordinance 2007, which we read just by title only, an ordinance establishing the stormwater user classes and user fees to provide for necessary revenue for the operation of the stormwater department of the town of Long Beach. Do I have a motion to approve that on second reading?
I make a motion to approve that on second reading.
I'll second it, Coker.
Out of way. Okay, can we put that to a vote then?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. All right, we've got that. I think that's the only thing on the
So
agenda.
did you make the same motion to suspend the rules by title only and then to approve it? I only
I
heard.
think the first motion was just to suspend it.
Just to suspend it.
Yeah, we haven't made the second motion yet, I don't think.
Okay.
Oh, I thought I knew we had to do it both times. Okay. So do we have is that appropriate, Chris? Did we have to do it for each?
Well, because they're two different votes and two different ordinances. So.
Okay, so you have to do it for each. Okay, I didn't realize it. All right. Then we need a motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance.
I make a motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance.
Okay.
I'll second it with a question.
Okay.
Now, it's a fee of $15. Basically, you're going to get that $15 fee. If you get the water bill, you're going to get that fee, correct?
Yes.
It's not by how many lots you own. Okay.
Now, we could, we have the power to do that, John. We didn't want to complicate it at this point, but if if you think that's something we should talk about, obviously the country club will pay 15. They won't get any more or less. The commercial properties in this town center will be the same. So if we want to do, I know in larger communities, they have it by lot size, for instance, or commercial versus residential. We didn't necessarily think we needed to get that complex at this point, but we can talk about it.
Well, my thought was that if you have an empty lot, at some point it might sell and somebody builds a house on it, then they're going to be paying, they'll have a connection fee and they'll have to pay the $15. But if it's just an empty lot.
Well, in order, am I on? Am I
Yeah.
muted? Okay.
Yeah.
So as far as the water department, let me give you an example, and John Wall will know exactly where I'm talking about on Nichols Court. When the house burned down, that family still pays the base, the local, the refuse, and all of that because they have a water tap there. So they will be charged that $15 because our thing in the water department is they have a water tap. So that's how we charge.
So John, I know where you're going there, Mayor. I've got it up. If hopefully you can see the shared screen.
Yeah, that looks good.
So John, when you look at that definition, residential, not
Right.
unimproved parcels do not contain a structure or impervious
Right.
area. I think I have to, okay. Improved and non-improved pay the $15 a month. So that's a good question that you raised.
Yeah, that's why I raised the question. It would seem to me if it's improved, then you're paying it. And if it's not improved, you shouldn't pay because.
Well, okay, John, let me give you an example. Out here where I live, there's people that have empty lots and they aren't part of the water. They don't pay the base and all that because they don't have it. The key thing for us is the tap.
Right.
But so for instance, think about this, because we've all been in this. At the end of Lakeshore Drive, where the Hidden Shores people bought that lot, they pay everything because there is a water tap there, even though they don't have water, because there was a house there.
Well, I think they should. I think the stormwater issues apply to any parcel, I would say. Now,
Okay. I just want to be open about it. And the other thing is I want to, since it's a public meeting and we really don't have that many people there, I think a lot of people forget the water department bills. It doesn't mean that's part of your water charge because then the town's reimbursed for refuse and leaves, and now it'll be this $15 charge. So when people scream about their water bill, it's all these other charges too that are on there. So I just want to make sure we put that out there for people.
If I read that section 3, John Coker, can you see that?
Yes.
Should be up. Establishment of rates. The town shall assign each owner of a parcel of real estate a classification as to whether it's a residential, non-residential, or non-improved parcel. The owner of each parcel shall pay the stormwater fee. So I think the definition of the parcel then would include a person who owned a non-improved parcel, but it wouldn't, the way I read this, it doesn't necessarily say that each of their pieces of property are a separate parcel. In other words, I think you'd only be charged for the land that you own as we classify it, unless I'm reading that wrong.
Well, section 1 says it applies to every parcel.
Yeah, that's,
So, well, okay, let's don't think about water, like if they have a tap, but there are people out here that own lots. So we would charge them even though they haven't developed the lot.
That's where I think we should. Just because you have an unapproved lot,
Okay.
doesn't mean you shouldn't share in the cost of the stormwater issues. But I don't think if a person has 3 lots, I don't think they would get charged $45. But I think this language allows for that, because in the definitions, it's talking about a lot, whether it's residential or non-improved, but then where the rubber meets the road is in the establishment of the rates clause, where it says that we identify it as one of those 3 classifications, and then the owner pays the 15.
Okay.
In my mind, that says.
I got to think about that, John. Okay. Well, okay. So then that's a town thing. The water department has a different thought on it, but that's okay. But that's how we charge. If they have a water tap there, even though the house is gone, they still pay for everything.
well, if this is approved, the board, the 3-member board can modify or amend this.
Well, I don't know
With the town council's approval.
I don't think they could modify or amend an ordinance, but they could make this determination.
They could modify the rate and how it's collected, whether you got a house on the lot or an empty lot.
Okay.
I mean, we might all agree to it one way, but you get a different board in another 4 years and they may not interpret it that way.
All right. We need to spell it out so people understand it. So let's just, I don't want to think about water, but so if somebody has a lot and nothing's on it, they still pay the 15, right?
No.
No?
But it does say improved or non-improved parcel, so does that mean like an empty lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You own land, you pay the fee.
That's right. It's everybody paying for everything. And so, is the language on there that you want it to be, unless under common ownership? I mean, I know these are questions right now. It charges, going back to John Wall's discussion. I mean, this is hitting everybody, and it doesn't say if you have a house and an empty lot. I mean, right here, I would imagine, I interpret that to be $30 if you own 2 lots.
You
I don't think that's the intent. I don't think that's the intent.
You know how sometimes in the building department, you ask a resident if they have 2 lots, if they're going to combine them into one parcel and they pay taxes on it. That's how they're able to build a house. If that's how they do it, I mean, if a parcel is 2 combined lots into one parcel, then it's $15. But each parcel, if each lot is considered a parcel, don't they pay on each parcel?
So that's the way it sounds in this proposed ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, that's the way I read it, but.
I would not want somebody that owns property in the town to not participate, because the stormwater issues are generated by stormwater from everyone's parcel, whether it's improved or unimproved.
Okay.
That's my thought. Keep in mind, this template came from Carl Sender, from other towns and cities. So if we want to modify it, we certainly can. The only thing I would caution is, I think the intent was to start collecting in February. So I don't know if we want to leave this meeting with the thought that we're going to alter this, unless we feel
we may not be able to, just because of the logistics of getting it on the water bill and everything else, but that would be what we would intend.
John,
Yeah.
I'll be in with Bill and the water department tomorrow, and we'll find out whether we can get it on the water bill. But I do think it's important, since we don't have that many people attending the meeting, that we send out a notice, and also Bill posted on the website.
On the website. The one thing.
Did you intend that you wanted it not to apply to an unimproved lot?
Me?
No, John, I thought you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll disclose it's a personal thing with me. I mean, I got 3 lots. I don't want to be paying in one house.
Oh, John,
It's like just one piece of property in my mind. And, you know, I don't think, and I'm not the only one like that. I mean.
Well, I still think if I read section 3 correctly, the town stormwater board will assign a classification to each owner. So you are an owner with 2 vacant lots and 1 lot with a house on it. The town, as you said earlier, the board will say that you are either a residential, non-residential, or non-improved. I'm going to say you're residential because you have a house and a couple of lots. That, to me, says that parcel consists of that house and those 2 lots, and we're going to charge you $15 a month.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with what Deanna was bringing up, and I'd be glad to just combine the 3, because I don't.
But it does. What the wording that you have that John Wall has brought up is it's very specific. Says parcel of real estate.
Right.
Talk about lots, because lots do have a status in LaPorte County and everything else, and you can find them on Beacon. But I think we have, you know, by doing what John Wallace suggested, we have called the parcel. I mean, I consider your parcel of real estate being your house and your 2 lots.
Yeah, but there's a parcel ID number through the county.
Yeah.
And each parcel, for instance, you know, the building commission on some properties, before they've approved things, they want people to combine them, right? Because that allows 1 tax bill. For instance, John Coker, do you get 3 tax bills, or do you have 3 lots?
I used to get 3 tax bills, but now I just get 1, but they got 3
parcel numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they got 3. Yeah.
Well, and the issue is, do we just clarify this language and clean it up before you? I mean, I do think section 3 is close, but do we amend this language and adopt that? Yeah.
Can I say something? So just speaking like from the water side, if you don't receive our water, then you don't get billed for a lot of things. So we would need time to, like, I know out where I live in the Cove, there's a couple lots that are empty, and we know who the owners are, but they don't have water taps. So we would have to make sure we get those included. And then there's a lot of empty lots in the Cove that are owned by somebody, and they don't have water taps, but they should be included on the $15 a month.
Yeah, that the data collection is an issue there.
Yeah, John, you know where I mean on Shorewood, all those empty, like all the empty lots on Shorewood, and then in some of the, there's a lot of empty lots there, and I think it's just 1 owner, but we would have to get the parcel numbers and so forth. Well,
to clarify again, a lot of municipalities go by the land area of your property. I thought we wanted to stay away from that. I mean, for instance, I've got a guy right 2 doors down from me that's got about 6 lots. So if you're trying to be purist, he probably should pay more because he generates more stormwater than I do on my single lot. So you could take it to that extreme. I don't know that we want to do that at this point.
I don't think we need to do that, but there are people that, the way the water department will be the billers, they have to be in the system, and that's just so that they get billed for. It's like the hydrant fees and all of that.
Well, do we want to just eliminate all this definitional, this section 2 and section 3 regarding defining a lot or parcel, and just say every
If you get a
property
water,
owner pays the fee?
if you get a water bill, you pay the fee.
Well, okay, but some people don't get our water bill, but they live out here.
I think maybe, John, if we just said a property owner and left it at that.
I think that's probably fair because John Coker, you probably spend some time in the water department. We have people that only pay this and they only pay that because some are on Michigan City. They're actually on Michigan City Water. That there's a
Right.
guy on Moore Road. There's a couple people off of Shorewood. And there's the first two lots that come in on Lakeshore Drive that are Michigan City. So I don't think we want to exclude them of getting their fair share of billing.
Well, just to simplify it, if we just took most of that language out of sections 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
said that every property owner will pay $15 per month, that might suffice. Unless Chris has
Or
the-
alternatively, do we add the $15 per month, comma, provided, or somewhere in here that says as long as they're under common ownership and contiguous?
I don't think we care. If we just say a property owner, boom. If we're going to remove all three of those paragraphs, section 1, 2, and 3.
So then
Well,
every
that-
property owner is going to
The
get.
property owner might own 2 or 3 houses.
That's right.
Well, then I think,
Oh, you mean,
how
but
complicated do you want to get? I mean,
Well, that's why I say just send it, to everybody gets a water bill.
it doesn't work, John.
like
Well,
that.
that's a suggestion.
There's probably, it would be okay, but don't say that exclusively because there are
Yeah, I
people
know.
that don't get a water bill, but they still have to pay. Bill and Deanna will tell you they have to pay refuse and leaf pickup.
Why would it be a problem for somebody that owns 2 or 3 houses to pay $45 a month?
It wouldn't, I wouldn't think it would be.
So like if they had a house on Lakeshore Drive, they had a house on somewhere else, it's by location, right?
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But that eliminates our property ownership clause. That's, we're going around in circles here. If we say a property owner, now you have to be back to either a parcel or a lot or some way to say that if you have multiple properties, you have to pay multiple fees.
John, can I say, why don't we have per address? I mean, if 1636 Lakeshore Drive, I'll pay. And if John has three lots in the same location, he will pay 1. So per address will probably work.
So to state that succinctly, you would say that each property with a address will be responsible for a $15 fee. If somebody has more than one address,
So
the property owner will be responsible for each address.
I don't think that works. I mean, we had, I'll use an example for Megan Applegate when she subdivided or wanted to subdivide properties and she didn't have an address when she was developing it. So that, to me, I think that I don't know that I don't know that you can just say address. I don't think you can just say each parcel without making it, we're closer to what you were interpreting, John Wall, of section 3. Do we say residential, including residential with and without non-improved lots? Because I'm trying to get to John Coker's example. That they are combined, but for tax purposes only.
Not that I want to mention a name, but like down at 2926 Lakeshore, where you have, like say, okay, Boyce, you have a house and then you have 3 empty lots. He has an address at 2926, but then he has 3 empty lots beside him. What would that be? Or
It's under one owner, but I agree with you. That's a good point, Deanna. At some point, there should be some multiple payment if your property is significantly larger, I suppose. If you're a purist, in logically, if you have tremendously more land than somebody else, you ought to be kicking in a little bit more. But
or does it make sense to say $15 per month, accepting out non-improved parcels that are contiguous and part of an improved parcel? Does that make sense? You know, John Coker's, for instance. That's really what, not John specifically, but there's plenty of people who fall under that category. John just has what we're using here. So obviously we're not tailoring it to him, but that scenario. So either everybody's going to get charged that 15, or we just accept out, you know, with the exception, there's only one fee charged for improved parcels that are, or a parcel of land that is made up of both improved and non-improved.
Well, I think Section 3 gives you the luxury of doing that. Section 3, I believe, allows the board to make these determinations for each parcel that they're going to charge. But if we can improve on this, I take back my original comment that we need to just eliminate all this. Maybe if we leave it like it is and then allow the board to make those exceptions, but we could put language in there, like you just said, Chris, if the lots are combined for tax purposes, they would be considered one parcel. I don't care what the county says about it, but that's what we would consider it as. And we can use a different noun. It doesn't have to be parcel, but we can use a different noun.
Before the council begins, or the town begins charging, who keeps the records going from like annually or monthly? Who keeps those records to make sure that who's designated for what? Because you could still then this next month have somebody combine two lots because they're getting ready to build a house, or there's somebody now that I had a contractor that just said he's getting ready to demo a house on Lakeshore Drive, or possibly, and like who keeps the constant tracking of it all?
Well, the stormwater board, and in this case, the board consists of the town board members, will have to determine that. If we need to assign duties to current employees or hire somebody or whatever we have to do, that's a good point.
So maybe we should say after that last, before the last sentence, John, in section 3, where before it says the owner, and we'll say that owners that have lots that are developed and not improved and non-improved, but are combined for tax purposes, shall only pay one fee. Does that hit what you guys want?
I do.
That'd be better.
What do you think, John?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that, John? Okay. So for purposes of, let's just do that.
So we'll just say for purposes of determining monthly fees, comma, the owners of lots that include both improved and non-improved that are combined for real estate tax purposes shall only be charged one fee, monthly fee.
That's fine. You probably didn't need that first clause because you're already in the establishment of rates clause, but I'm with you. I like everything else you said.
So we'll take out the first part before the comma then, right?
Yep. So I guess now this begs the question, do we have to do another hearing, or can we just alter this language and approve it at the town council at the next town council meeting?
I think we can, we already had the hearing on this. So as it is, I think that you can amend this language and just do it, right?
I mean, I think we could do it tonight.
You can rescind your vote and let's do it tonight.
Okay, I'm good with that. John, what do you think? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that sounds like it'll solve my question.
And I think, John, yours is very common because it's been a pull and kind of some that want to develop and put things on others. And so it exists. My point is it's more widespread than just a couple properties, so it'll address that.
Yeah.
All right, to Deanna's point then, what do we do with a guy like Boyce? If he's got 2 lots that he's trying to develop and sell, I don't know that we let him skate with 1 fee.
But if they're not combined for tax purposes, he falls, right? If they're combined for tax purposes and he gets 1 tax bill for them, then that's different.
Okay, so that I agree. So
I mean, if he sells a lot, then they'll be paying the fee.
They
correct.
will if it's not combined.
Right.
How do we know if he combines them?
You can see that on I think you can see it on Beacon, Mary Lou.
Okay, but I mean,
Deanna's got a good point.
And
Somebody's
you
got
can check with the assessor's office.
I know.
I mean, I didn't mean to bring up his name.
Well, no, but that's a whole other thing. I mean,
Well, yeah, he's not unique. That happens, right?
who do you expect to do that? The water department we're in the middle of an audit, and so is Bill and Deanna. So I'm just asking because I'm thinking as I'm out walking. I know John's out running, the other John's walking, and we see empty lots. So now I'm thinking, okay, well, we have to figure out who lives there or who owns it, not lives there, owns it. Here, I know because they're in the homeowners association, but the others I don't.
Well, the long and the short is you may not be in position to collect this, right, in the next month or 2. It just depends
Okay.
on how quickly you can gather it. That's
Okay, so it's not, so we could get the majority and then we just work on the smaller ones.
Yeah, it's not going to be perfect the first year. I think right now we get this established. The idea was to maybe start it in February if the water bill can accommodate it, if the paper billing can accommodate it.
And I'll know tomorrow. I'll find out.
And then from there, we can always, again, the board is the town council member. So all we're going to do is, if we find a problem with it, we'll just have to alter it. It's like so many times with our ordinances, you put them in place and then you find out you've got problems and then we fix them.
Okay.
And just as an aside, elected officials cannot change their fees, their charges in the next year, in the calendar year. So whichever of the 3 people that are on this water board of the 5 eventual members, they're serving for free, correct?
Right. Yeah.
So.
Okay, so John, if you're happy with Chris's suggestion, Chris, do you want to modify that and email it back out to us in the morning or something?
Yeah, I will. So what I would say is that we take a vote here if you're inclined to rescind the vote approving, right? Just so we're clean. And then we make a motion to approve this tonight. Is that what you're?
Yeah, I'd like to have that done. Yeah. So is there a motion?
I'll move that we rescind it.
Approve this with the amendments discussed?
Well, I think let's rescind the vote. Sorry, Bill, it's a couple steps, but yeah, let's rescind.
Okay. Let's do it. Yeah.
I move we rescind the previous
approval
motion.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That there would be a motion to approve the proposed ordinance with the addition of adding the language that for the purposes, I know John is, he keeps me in check with not getting paid by the word. So if we're, the intent, John, so correct it here, is for the purposes of establishing fees for parcels, and I know that's under that section, parcels, improved and non-improved parcels.
Contiguous.
Or that are combined for tax purposes shall only be charged 1 monthly fee.
Yeah.
I think that does it without the preamble.
Yep, I knew that.
You get two attorneys working on this thing, it scares me.
Dangerous, especially when one isn't getting paid.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Dr. LeMay's glowing advertisement for council members to fill the vacancy said it's not going to change tax brackets. You get paid, it's just not going to help your tax bracket. Right?
All right.
We need a D in there, the charge.
Can you see this?
Are charged.
Parcels that are combined for tax purposes shall be charged a single monthly fee. That's what I think. Not are, but shall be.
Shall be charged. Yeah.
So that language is what we're approving then on our next vote. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. That's a new sentence. Okay, got it.
Yep, then you need a motion and a second, and then you're good.
So I make a motion to approve the new language that says parcels that are combined for tax purposes shall be charged a single monthly fee. Under section 3.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
John, you
Can
good?
I vote for it even though it's gonna affect me?
Yeah.
Everything affects all of you. So again, we have made the point, and your concern for that is valid, but that's a widespread issue.
Okay, I'll vote for it then.
Okay. So that means we are finished voting and we have our language in that suffices for our concerns,
Yes.
I believe. Okay.
Anybody, yeah. Okay.
I'll stop sharing then, I think, unless somebody needs to see something else.
Looks good.
The only thing that I will do is I'll make sure that I give that typed version of that. I'll send that, and then Bill, you can do
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Do a
Keep it.
signature.
We have to sign it, don't we, Bill? The town council has to sign it?
Well, we haven't signed any, but I got a whole bunch of ordinances that are resolutions that have gone unsigned only. I mean, maybe we need to have a masked parade where people come in and sign things, because you haven't signed a check register or a salary thing. We're looking at all those things in 2019, and those are all signed, but 2020 they're all barren. So yeah, maybe something that we could talk about. Doing 2020 stuff too.
And electronic suffices, but yeah, eventually we'll get the signatures on that.
Yeah.
But
So we
no
want
matter
to
what.
try to get this on the February billing, if we can.
If we can, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we have to publish too. So yeah, I'll work with Bill, and then we'll send out communication to everybody.
Okay. And then we'll get something on the website and then send out a notice to people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're finished.
Public comments?
Oh, yeah, we can ask for comments again, sure. Public comments, you mean, John?
So it's on the agenda, it's on.
Yeah, it says public comments that we shouldn't.
So if anybody is in attendance and would like to say anything, please unmute yourself and or raise your hand. I still only have 12 participants, so it's a small group. Give you a minute or so here in case you are having computer issues. I don't see anyone raising their hand. I don't see anyone unmuting. So I think we can close public comments. So our next order of business would be a motion to dismiss.
I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay,
Too slow. Got to vote for that?
Gonna vote?
all in favor of the motion to dismiss?
Aye.
Good
Thanks.
night, all.
Thank
Later.
you.